Hello, welcome to Make Kind Loud, conversations that turn up the volume. Today we have with us Cam. Hello, Cam, how are you?
Hi, Louisa. Good. Happy to be with you.
Thank you. You know what? I meant to ask you, how do you say your last name?
Vuksinich, like books in itch.
Oh, like
Yes.
Vuksinich.
Sin, the thing we're not supposed to do, and book like book.
Got it. Got it. Okay. Well, I'm going to read your bio. I'm going to tell the people about you, and then we're just going to have a beautiful conversation. Does that work?
That works perfectly. Thank you.
You're welcome. Cam Vuksinich has invested over 35 years in independent research of psychology, philosophy, comparative religions, physiology, kinesiology, physics, and consciousness studies. She is fascinated by life and infinitely curious about human nature. She has managed to make her way around the world a couple of times and has visited every continent except Antarctica. Cam enjoys the diversity each culture offers and the wisdom every person has to share. She has trekked in the Himalayas and snorkeled in the South Pacific, held babies and played with children in Africa, Burma, and Bali. She has shared precious memories with the elders in China, Vietnam, and Thailand. She had a wombat on her lap in Australia and a monkey in her arms in India. Cam has discovered that our similarities are much greater than our differences. Man, you know what? I tell you, that is beautiful. I love everything that you've done over the course of the last few years. So tell me about you, and then we can talk about, September 11th and just have a good conversation.
Yeah, as I was listening to that, I thought, wow, that's that is a life that was chosen and a
Nice.
life that was intentional. And I realized the value of that after
Yeah.
listening to that. And constantly return to that intentionality of
Hmm.
living. And I was thinking as I was getting ready for this today, so we've had smoke here in Colorado, so I still have some lingering congestion because of the fires.
Yeah.
So I will be clearing my throat. I was thinking of a moment with a friend of mine. We were sitting in her house and she was going through a divorce, and she had a 3-year-old son and understandably upset by everything that
Yeah.
was going on. And she was crying, and I was comforting her. And he walked in and he looked at his mom and he said, "Why are you crying?" And she said, "Well, mom's a little sad. There's some things going on." And he paused and his little arms went up. He goes, "Mom, life is life." And he just walked out. And I looked and I thought, that is profound,
Yeah.
because life can only be defined by itself.
Yeah.
It isn't this moment or that moment, but not that moment or that moment. It's every moment. And a little 3-year-old taught me something that I'll never forget, that no matter what life hands us or shows us, it's our life. It's
Yeah.
life. It's precious.
That's
And
beautiful.
yeah, even now, with everything our world's going through,
Right.
I think the hardest thing for all of us is to choose to remain open to
Hmm.
the challenges and the discomfort and the pain. But I found, based on what you just described, as obviously must be me, she sounds like a fun person. Um, it's those moments that challenged me, Louisa.
Yeah.
It's those moments that challenged me, that broke me open and expanded my idea of who I was and who I could be.
Yeah, that's beautiful because it's I read something that said um, more beautiful for having been broken. And so when you're broken, when you broke yourself up, or when something has broken you, that's where the light comes in and the shine happens. And so it's more beautiful for having been broken.
Yeah, and thank you for saying that, because you just helped me realize something too, is maybe that's when the light can go out.
Yeah, both
Maybe
ways,
life is
right?
a two-way street.
Yep. It is. It is. And that's the beautiful part about it. And, I love the intentionality of what you've created for your life and everything that you've done. And so today is September 11th, and I know that's on your heart, and we need to talk about all the things. So, do you remember where you were on September 11th?
Yeah, I was in Santa Fe, New Mexico at a week-long conference on intuition. And I turned on the TV and saw the first tower fell and thought, I couldn't comprehend what was happening.
Right.
I'm kidding. My whole body's remembering the shock of it right now. And just staring at the screen and realizing something catastrophic was happening.
Mm.
And then I started thinking, what should I do? What does this mean? And I noticed that those moments bring out different experiences for people.
Yeah.
You know, a person that in that workshop that was teaching that workshop, I met her in the hallway, and she said, "Well, now you Americans finally understand what the rest of the world is going through." And I thought, wow, okay, I'll take that moment in. And now I'm going to go to the gas station and get gas and
Mm-hmm.
get food and get water
Mm-hmm.
because I want to get home to my family. And at least I want to get as close as I can. I didn't know if
Yeah.
I could do it on a tank of gas, but I wanted to get as close as I could. And then I started thinking of the person that I was living with, and he was, his office was across the street from the World Trade Center.
Oh, wow.
And he was supposed to leave the night before, and he had let me know that they missed the plane and they were maybe going this morning, which would be 9/11, or later that evening.
Mm.
So I couldn't get a hold of him. So I didn't know if he was on a plane or if he was in his office.
Yeah.
And it it unfolded from there, and that workshop turned into a loving, healing, um, profoundly intimate experience for all of us.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yet we do remember those moments,
Yeah.
when the light isn't shining through, and then we have to realize that we can let ourselves crack open so that ours can penetrate the darkness.
Correct. Correct. Yeah. And so that morning I was headed to work. I was 23 and had just graduated from college the year before. And it usually took me about 40 minutes to get to work. That's with traffic. But even like when I woke up, it felt different. The world felt different. This is before I tapped into my empathic abilities. Like I didn't really, I knew I felt a lot, but I didn't really grasp uh, how much I could be a feeling person. And so when I woke up, it felt different. The world felt different, and I was like, "Oh, that's weird. I mean, it must be an off day." Is what I was thinking. And I typically drove, or I still do, in silence because I like to be with my thoughts. I like to just be aware of what's around me, and I hardly ever have the radio on. And so I was in traffic forever, so I turned the radio on, and I heard they were talking about the planes that had crashed, and I didn't understand. Like I couldn't grasp it. I was like, oh wow, that's unfortunate. I didn't understand like the magnitude of the situation until I got to work. And the first thing I said when I got to work was, oh my goodness, it took me 3 hours to get to work. I'm still in my own head. I'm not even realizing what's happening in the world, right? And so they just looked at me and was like, do you know what's happening? I said, yeah, I heard something about a plane. I hope everybody's okay. And it's not computing for me until we started watching the news and listening to the news. And then I was like, oh my goodness, this is something that is going to change the world forever. And I just remember thinking about that. And it has, like, the world as we knew it no longer exists.
Isn't that profound what you just said? To recognize that these moments that stop time
Yeah.
literally disintegrate the path behind us. We
Right.
can't look back necessarily and live what was. and the path before us is so unclear.
Right. Yeah. I know. You just gave me chills.
Yeah.
But
I think we're in another one of those times.
I would
Sorry, I'm
agree.
getting a little emotional about our conversation.
Yeah, that's okay. This is what we do. So emotions are welcome for sure. But I agree with you that this is another time where we won't won't be the same going forward, because of what's happening right now.
Yeah, and I realized back to intentionality that every moment is a choice. And
Yeah.
the thing I've chosen, your make kind loud, I think it's so profound and so important because the one thing that I do intentionally every day, I go for a walk and I either wave at the people that stop for me so I can cross the street and just smile, a silly little wave, and say hello and wave at people that are passing by. And if they don't look, I just realized this morning what I do is I take a moment and just recognize our shared humanity.
Oh, I love that.
Even if we can't make a connection in real time,
Yeah.
I have underestimated that each one of us can recognize our shared humanity. I am looking at another human being.
And
That's
that's the beauty of
amazing.
it. And that's the beauty of it, because when it's all said and done, we're all humans, regardless of everything, regardless of skin color, regardless of religion, politics, orientation, lifestyle choices, regardless of any of that. When it's all said and done, we are all humans. And it's that humanity that I'm rooting for, that I believe in. And I think we'll conquer, if we allow it to. But we do have to take those moments and recognize the other humans around us.
Yeah, I think that pierces the bubble that we
Yeah.
live in, of our own thoughts.
Yeah.
That moment when we pierce through our own little bubble and recognize there are others.
Right.
They are human like me. We are humans. And
Yeah.
to go deeper back into your word versus humanity into humankind, into
Mm-hmm.
humankind. That kindness is, I think, a form of love in action. And it can be with something as simple as just recognizing that human being's existence on this planet at the same time as me. We walk the earth at the same time.
Yeah.
That's incredible and precious.
It is. And it's important for us to recognize that and to acknowledge it. Because I believe that we're here to help each other. We're meant to be helpers. We're meant to show up
Mhm.
for each other. And but we have to own that, and we have to do it. It's one thing to say it, but we have to put that into action, like you said, because kindness and love are both verbs. They're not just words. They're something that you have to do, behind those words in order for them to make an impact.
Amen. You just stopped me in my tracks with those words. Yeah. And it's one of those things in life where, I've been at the scene of accidents and everyone looks
Yeah.
like who's going to jump into action. And for some reason, I'm one of those people. I seem to have the constitution to jump into action and I'm calm in that moment.
Yeah.
But we all need to jump into action at this moment. If it's just looking at someone and thinking, yeah, there I am in another skin suit with another belief
Right.
system, but there I am.
Yeah. Exactly. Because we're all mirrors of each other, right? So the stuff that you recognize in someone else is already in you. Whether that's, whatever it is, it's in you. And like you just said, that's you. It's just in a different skin suit. And I love the way you put that. So that's beautiful. And if we can all just see others as ourselves and treat others the way we would want to be treated, and to treat others like you treat others. You know what I'm saying? And so that, this would be a far better world. And I think, there's tons of goodness here. There's tons of goodness in the world. But it gets overshadowed by the darkness and the clouds and the negativity. And so we have to crack that open and shine the light, because the light is there. But the darkness can be consuming, though.
It can be consuming. And when you said two things, when you said light, that our pineal, some people call it pineal or pineal gland, processes photons of light. We eat light. We eat plants that, through photosynthesis, metabolize light.
Yeah.
So not only do we eat and see, and we are light. We truly are light. And you also mentioned the word helper. Yes, helper. I connected with a man, Dr. Stephen Post. He founded the Institute for the Study of Unlimited Love.
Oh, I love that.
So, yeah. So I reached out to him one evening. I started a nonprofit about love, the One World Heart Project. One night I was thinking, I wish I had a way to study this. I wish I had a way to figure out what effects does love have on us psychologically, physically, socially. And I thought, I wish there was some way to understand this and some science behind it and the metrics, some way people could understand it. So I went to bed, frustrated, woke up sleepless, grabbed my iPad and opened it up, and Amazon had a book recommendation for me, his book, Why Good Things Happen to Good People. And I opened up the book, just the sample, and it was about love. And he had a way to actually quantify the effects and qualify the effects of love in someone's life. Just thinking of love 3
Wow.
hours later still has a positive effect. And his whole thing is helpers. He believes that we are all helpers and that we all have that capacity. And that is our soul, S-O-L-E and S-O-U-L purpose in life, is to be helpers.
Yeah.
And I truly believe to not only encourage the helpers and give the helpers some respite if they're tired, but also help others recognize that they're one of our team too.
Right. Yes. I love that. What was the name of that book again?
Why Good Things Happen to Good People.
Got it. That's beautiful.
Dr. Stephen Post, and remarkable man. He's an internationally renowned expert on the study of altruism and altruistic behaviors.
Mm-hmm.
And even the simplest things, he was studying respect, courage, compassion, forgiveness, creativity, humor as an aspect of love. And I remember telling people, these are the things that I'm going to bring into the world with this nonprofit. They're so important: respect, gratitude, compassion. And people would look at me with this weird look and say, we already know that. And I thought, but we're not doing it.
Right.
We need to devote our lives to this. In this moment, can I rise to the occasion of deeper respect for this human being, deeper gratitude for this moment, compassion for this loss? Yeah, we know it. Drop it down 12 inches into our hearts.
I love that.
Let's take the journey together.
Exactly. I love that. And that reminds me of a quote by Maya Angelou. She gets misquoted all the time. And her quote is, do the best you can until you know better. And then when you know better, do better. And so people usually say, when you know better, you do better. But that's not the case. It's when you know better, do better. That's the action of it. And so just because you know something, like the people were telling you, well, we already know that. Okay, but we're not doing it. So now it's time to do what we know about gratitude and love and kindness. Now we have to jump into action and actually do it.
I love that you shared that clarification with me. It's important that people realize what someone said and not what they think someone said.
You're right.
So thank you for sharing that.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Yeah, and I came to that realization maybe a couple of years ago, because I used to say that all the time. When you know better, you do better, but no, it's not the case. Because there are a lot of people who know better and still don't do better. And so it's when you know better, do better. And that is on you. You have to take that ownership of the doing.
Yeah, she was a powerhouse.
Yes, she was.
Yeah, and it doesn't surprise me that it's not just if you think about it, if it comes to mind. She's saying, do better,
Yeah.
like a declaration of a command.
Right.
Now that you know this, do it.
Right. Exactly. Which is important, and which is exactly what you've been saying this whole time. So tell me more about your nonprofit and what you want to achieve with it.
Well, I still am committed to those 10 qualities. What I love about what he created, it's these 10 qualities, and I love that it ends with creativity.
Mm.
It begins with gratitude. And I once had a conversation with him. I said, have you ever noticed that when you move through into the understanding of love, and maybe the highest form of love is creativity, like a creative aspect in our life, or recognizing creation around us. And he did this in such a way that it starts from the self, which is respect for self, compassion for self, and it goes to family, friends, community,
Mm-hmm.
humanity. So the circles move out. So as someone once said to me, the sphere of self. So when the sphere of self expands, we can include more in our love and our loving actions. And some people need to do a lot of work and focus on being forgiving of themselves and respectful
Mm.
of themselves,
Yeah.
compassionate, and realize that they do have the courage to move out into the world in a different way, and to take themselves lightly and realize that they can have humor in the moment when it might seem so shameful or embarrassing.
Yeah.
So I'm committed to this. And we created, so fun, Louisa. We created infomercials, and I called these things, I thought of them as medicine. I think this is like medicine with the only good side effect is just makes the world better. So I called them pharmaceuticals. What
Oh,
goes
I
around
love
comes
that.
around.
Yeah.
So, respect, all these things, what goes around comes around. And we had the best time. People donated their time to make these wonderful commercials. And it starts out, like the pharmaceutical commercials where someone's sitting on a bench with their partner and saying, I've wondered, how could I wonder if there's something I can ask my doctor about. So it goes into this. I'll send you one of the links. They're hysterical.
Yeah.
And we previewed them. This one woman came up and she said, boy, that's a big topic that you and your team handled in a really deep and meaningful way, but didn't scare us. It
Yeah.
invited us into this moment. So pharmaceuticals, that's what I'm interested in. What
I
goes
love
around
that.
comes around.
I love that. And I would love to
It's the same
see
thing, the
those.
golden rule that you talked about, how we treat others. We need to polish off the golden rule. So I brought those 10 qualities into school programs. I created a little book called Amazing Mouse, Better Than Cheese. I've got another book in the works. So I created a school program that has little cards that the kids can pick out every day. And every single one of those qualities is included, whether it's respect. And then all day the teacher gets to talk about respect. The
Yeah.
kids get to go home and talk to their parents about what they learned about respect. And I remember this one parent came afterwards. She said the funniest thing. She said, "Are you that lady that wrote that book, Amazing Mouse, with those different cards and all the little trails that they go on?" I said, "Yeah, that's me." She said, "I was a little tired and frustrated one night, and my daughter came up and she looked at me and she looked at me like really sad, but she said, 'Mom, I love you, but Amazing Mouse wouldn't be acting like that right now.'"
Oh,
So she was helping his mother remember compassion and gratitude. That, Mom, it's
wow.
okay. It's okay if we rise to this moment and be like Amazing Mouse, because he's a little superhero and the kids identified with him.
I love
So
that.
I do adult programs with the book, Why Good Things Happen to Good People. And so another fun thing I do is bowls. I found a gentleman, you might like this. He turns bowls, and he gives me bowls, and I have them filled with messages of appreciation.
Mm-hmm.
And then we deliver them to teachers, to firemen, to policemen, to homeless shelters, and just let them know somebody's thinking about them. We call it bowled over.
I love that. I love the little programs you have. It's so beautiful. And there's also we talked before, a man who does rocks.
Yes.
Tell me about him.
Every day he brings me rocks, and he leaves them all over the neighborhood. You saw, he makes little hedgehogs, he makes little fish. He made a foot out of rocks with a heart on it, and he left it on my doorstep, and with a note that said, "We must all walk in love."
Oh, I
I
love
used to
that.
call him Secret Santa, but then in the summer I call him Summer Santa. But his name's Dale, and he's a
Uh-huh.
Vietnam vet. Also an angel on the planet, an
Yeah,
angel walking on the planet.
right. And he's doing just
Wasn't
doing
that
just
amazing? People
it is
that
it is. And that proves that you can do whatever. So he's making these beautiful rocks and just passing them out. And that's his act of love. That's his act of service, to just bring a smile to someone's face when they see his rocks. And so it doesn't have to be, something huge on a grandiose level. It could be something simple like painting rocks, or giving a bowl of beautiful messages to someone, just something like that, that creates those kindness ripples, and that creates those love ripples in the world. And that's what we need. We need more ripples.
we do. And thanks to everything you're saying, because you also helped me. You've helped me realize so many things today. Thank you.
Oh, thank
I've
you.
realized making kindness loud. Maybe kindness is already loud. We just need to listen louder.
Oh,
So I'm going to listen louder so I
yeah,
can hear it.
I love
So
that.
I'm tuned in
Yeah,
to hear the kindness. So all my senses, to see the kindness, to feel the kindness.
yeah, to be aware of it.
Yeah, so I'm going to see louder, hear louder, feel louder, so I can notice it.
Yeah. And then you can love
Mm.
louder.
Love louder.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because I mean, that's where it all boils down to, is that what are we putting out into the world? What are we manifesting for the world? And how are we showing up in the world?
It really is all this life is about,
Yeah,
is leaving those footprints of love, gratitude, kindness, and hoping someone can step in them on their way to the same destination, you know?
yeah,
We
yeah,
all leave this world, so why not leave a kind path behind us?
exactly, exactly. And that's something that future people can see, and they can be like, oh, this was a kind being in the world. And we're all kind beings. We're all born in love, of love. We're all made of that. It's just about us tapping into it and living it, because we're all born that way. And
We
the
are.
world it gets clouded in there. But at the root of it all, at the soul of it all, is love.
It is. And thanks to this conversation, I know everyone, not every day and every moment, has an ability to make a commitment to what you just described, to commit to an intentional life that includes love, that includes kindness, even if we just recognize at the end of the day, yes,
Yeah,
I did that, or yes, I received that, and honor that moment, pause in that moment, reflect in that moment. I've
yeah,
seen one drop of kindness, one drop of love completely change a whole room. Have you? It's amazing. It's
yeah.
magic.
It is. It is, because we're all energy, and it's that energy, and love will outweigh the negative. And so if you go in there with your love energy, that is going to impact everyone. And so, but you have to be in tune with it, and you have to listen for it, and you have to feel it, and be open to feeling it.
Yeah, there's an organization called Heart Math. Have you thought of them? Or not thought of them, heard of them? I'm thinking of them.
Um, I
Heart
have heard
Math?
of them. Yeah, I've heard of them, but I haven't done much research on them.
Yeah, they've studied the energy of the heart and realized that it extends out up to 5 feet around us spherically, so that when we move through space, that we literally, if we are in that state of love, interconnect with other people's heart waves
Yeah.
and we leave an impression. So we have much more power to shift the moment in people's lives than we think just by walking past someone in a state of love or in a moment of love or kindness. It radiates in our heart. It's a different frequency. I think it was when I first met them, it was 25 years ago when they were first researching this. And now there's 25 years of scientific research that this is a real thing, that our heart, the sphere and the energy that emits from our heart is, I think it's 5 times greater than the energy that emits from our brain.
Wow.
And they're also studying something, and this is probably an important thing for right now in our discussion, the global coherence. And there's 2 projects. One started at Princeton a long time ago, and they were studying how we affect each other energetically. And they noticed they set random number generators around the world. And so they're little computer processes. And they saw that when the whole world was focused on one thing collectively, that for some reason the random numbers became less random and became more synchronized. Every
Wow.
single time the world collectively focuses on something, the same spike happens in the data. And it happened with Princess Diana's death. It happened during OJ. So it doesn't differentiate between what we focus on, whether it's good or bad. It's what we focus on. And I realized this is something we all need to understand and know, that together, when enough of us are focused on a single point, that we can literally change the world.
Yeah.
And the most interesting thing, Louisa, is we were aware of something happening, just like you said at the very beginning of the conversation. You thought something was weird on 9/11, that we have this ability to sense something impending, the possibility before it occurs.
Right.
So people were aware, and then it occurred, and then we collectively experienced it, and then we moved into our lives again.
Yeah.
So if we could intend and commit to doing something every day at the same time, just let's all of us just focus on love, focus on kindness, intend to do it for a minute and just breathe 4 breaths of kindness. God, I can't even imagine what we could do,
So much, so much. And like you just said, it's because we belong to each other. And the only way that it gets better is together. And that's beautiful. And it's going to take all of us, and all of us collectively, putting the good out there. And I love that. I love that you mentioned that. That's beautiful. And it's proven that
it's proven.
when
They
we're
tried
together,
to disprove it.
yeah,
it's
when we're
proven.
together,
I'm glad you said that.
Exactly. The word. I mean,
because science invites itself to be disproven. Science invites people to say, "Show me where I'm wrong. Prove where I'm right. Let's figure out, is this real?"
Yeah.
And yeah, it's real. It's real. And we know that because we do EEGs, we do EKGs. We realize we have an electromagnetic field. Even the National Institute for Health recognizes, they call it a biofield, that people in some traditions call it an aura, but it's called a biofield physiologically, that we emit electrons. We are energy beings. Knock, knock, knock.
Yep. And I love it. I could talk to you forever. This has been such.
I could too. I want to be respectful of your time.
This has been a beautiful conversation, and I think it's much needed. So thank you so much for sharing your insights with us. Thank you for sharing your heart with us and your wisdom. This was such a profound conversation, and I really do appreciate your time.
Thank you so much for asking me. I'm grateful beyond measure. Thank you, Louisa.
You're welcome. This has been another episode of Make Kind Loud, conversations that turn up the volume. Today we had Kind Vuksinich, and she is just full of joy, full of love, and full of wisdom. And one thing that she said was that we need to listen louder. Kindness is already around us. We just have to be in tune with it and listen for it. and take action, because that's how we change the world. We'll see you next week on another episode of Make Kind Loud, conversations that turn up the volume. Bye.